As the sun shone down on the meadow, a small flower and a tall plant stood side by side. Both were curious about the other, and neither had ever seen anything like the other before they were about to embark on a journey that would change their lives forever. The flower was a vibrant and beautiful sight to behold. Its petals were a bright yellow, and its center was a deep orange. Its leaves were a deep green, and its stem was a light pink. The flower was a perfect circle, with no blemishes or deformities. Its aroma was sweet and fragrant, and it was a sight to behold as the sunlight shone down upon it. It seemed to glow with an inner light. It was a sight to behold, and a sight that could make any passerby pause and admire its beauty. The plant's appearance was just as striking as the flowers. It was tall and slender, with long, winding vines that curved around its body. Its leaves were a deep green, and its stem was a deep brown, almost black. Its petals were a deep purple, and its center was a bright yellow. It had a unique and captivating beauty that was difficult to ignore. Its presence was powerful and commanding, and it seemed to be radiating a mysterious energy. It was a sight to behold, and it was clear that the plant was something special. The first conversation between the two was brief but meaningful. They exchanged pleasantries and talked about the beauty of the flower and the plant. The flower spoke of how it had been living in the garden for some time and how it was happy to have a new friend. The plant, in turn, shared its story of how it had been growing in the garden for many years and how it had been looking forward to meeting someone new. Both were delighted to have made a new friend. The first meeting between the two was an awkward one. Neither knew what to expect, and the silence between them was palpable. After a few moments, the flower finally spoke. Breaking the silence, the plant was taken aback by the flower's boldness, and the two began to talk. They discussed the world around them, their different perspectives, and the beauty of the environment they lived in. As the conversation progressed, the plant began to feel more and more comfortable with the flower, and the two eventually parted ways with a newfound respect and understanding. The flower and the plant had just shared a meaningful conversation, and the garden had become a place of peace and mutual understanding. As they looked around, they saw the beauty of the garden in full bloom. They saw the vibrant colors of the flowers, the lush green of the grass, and the calming blue of the sky above. The garden was a place of tranquility, and the two of them were in awe of the natural beauty that surrounded them. It was a place of connection, and the two of them were excited to explore the garden further. After getting an overview of the garden, I decided to explore it further. I walked around, admiring the lush greenery and vibrant colors of the flowers. I noticed that the garden was filled with a variety of different plants, from roses to daisies to tulips. I was in awe of the beauty and detail of the garden, and I could tell that a lot of time and effort had gone into creating such an amazing space. As I continued to explore, I noticed a small, secluded area that seemed perfect for finding some peace and quiet. Exploring the garden was a wonderful experience, but the search for a new spot was even more exciting. I looked around for the perfect place to plant a new flower. I wanted to find a spot that was sunny and well-drained, with a bit of shade and plenty of space for the flower to grow. After a few minutes of searching, I found the perfect spot. I carefully dug a hole and planted the flower, feeling a sense of accomplishment and joy as I watched it take root in its new home. The plants in the garden were abuzz with excitement. Every leaf and stem seemed to be swaying in anticipation of the new spot being discovered. The trees rustled, and the flowers bloomed in vibrant colors. Eager to show off their beauty, the birds chirped in delight as they fluttered around, adding to the joyous atmosphere. Even the insects seemed to be joining in the celebration, buzzing and flitting around the plants. It was a sight to behold, and the plants were ecstatic to be part of it. The flowers in the garden were especially excited about the new spot with the sun shining down on them. They were able to bloom brighter and fuller than ever before. They swayed in the gentle breeze, their petals glistening in the sunlight. The vibrant colors of the garden were now more vibrant than ever before, and the scent of the flowers was a sweet reminder of the beauty of nature. The new spot was a welcome change from the ordinary, and the flowers were delighted to be part of it. As the narrator walked further into the garden, they noticed a flurry of activity. Small critters were scurrying around, chattering and gathering in groups. The narrator was mesmerized by the sight and decided to get a closer look. As they approached, the critters stopped and stared, their eyes wide with curiosity. The narrator smiled and waved, and the critters waved back. They seemed friendly and inviting, so the narrator decided to stay and chat. They soon learned that the critters were the garden's caretakers, and they were eager to show the narrator around. I was excited to meet the garden critters, and after a few moments of hesitation, I stepped forward to introduce myself. I smiled and waved, and they all waved back in return. I told them my name and asked them theirs, and one by one, they introduced themselves. I felt a warm connection with each of them, and I was eager to learn more about them. After introductions were made, the garden critters began to make friends. They shared stories of their adventures in the garden. From chasing butterflies to finding hidden treasures, everyone was excited to hear about each other's experiences, and soon found that they had many things in common. They laughed and joked together, and it wasn't long before they felt like old friends. As the afternoon wore on, they made plans to meet up again soon and continued to share stories and get to know each other better. After making friends, I was excited to learn more about the critters. We all sat in a circle and began to share stories. Each of us took turns telling us about our lives, our families, and our adventures. We laughed and chatted until the sun began to set. It was a wonderful time of connection and learning. It was truly a magical experience that I will never forget. As the sun began to set, it was time for the critters to head home. We said our goodbyes, promising to meet again soon. We hugged and waved and watched them leave with a heavy heart. I felt a little sad, but also happy that I had made such wonderful new friends. I knew that I would never forget the day we all spent together and the memories we had created. I was sure that we would have many more adventures in the garden in the days to come.
If you enjoyed this video, Please don't forget to hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss an update from us. We'll be bringing you more exciting stories and videos like this one. See you next time.